Become a Basement Buddy today and get access to exclusive content. Not exactly a ton right now, but you can get a taste of what's to come. Patreon.com/Hausenberg Films. Do you like how much Saul Goodman I've managed to cram into the title and thumbnail? I just figured, hey, my Breaking Bad video is doing pretty well, so I should cover a recent movie starring a beloved character from the show. Now, I've got to be honest, my expectations weren't that high for nobody. Bob Odenkirk is a terrific actor in a drama scene.
Oh no! No, it wasn't me, it was Ignacio, he's the one!
But he's not the kind of guy you would expect to do well in a John Wick type scenario. He just looks like your typical dad character. But then I remembered that's exactly the point of this movie. On the surface, he's nobody. He's Hutch Mansell, who has a boring job, a disinterested wife, and a sexless relationship with his son. Oh, wait, I think I wrote that down the wrong way round. A disinterested son and a sexless relationship with his wife. He's just a regular dude, except he's not, because he used to be a badass hitman for some highly classified organisation.
I'm gonna f you up.
And let me tell you now, once this cage is unlocked and this tiger goes to town, it's the most brutal bloodbath of raw fun imaginable. And imagine is exactly what you're going to need to do, because there's no way YouTube will monetize this video if I show you a hint of any violence. It has to be blurred and pixelated and censored to high heaven. Isn't it just the best? Thanks, YouTube. Before I go into this story, I do need to address the title of this video. This movie is almost too good, but I don't mean too good in quality. I mean Hutch Mansell is too good at his job. His assassin job, that is, not whatever job this is. He goes the entire movie without making any major mistakes, or even finding himself in any sort of unsolvable quandary. And for me, that's the only issue I have with this movie. But it is an important issue for me because I like to see some sort of high stakes problem. Typically it happens around the second act of any movie like this, but I would have been happy for it to happen at any point. Hutch Mansell doesn't appear to lose anything significant in his life. Even when his family's home is burnt down, it really doesn't feel like much of a loss. But I don't want to talk about that just yet because that's kind of jumping ahead. We'll come back to that later. If I was going to give this movie a rating, which is something I don't typically do, based on the element of fun, I would give it a solid 8 out of 10, as there's tons of fun things to appreciate. But take it from me, don't go into this movie expecting some outstanding original story, because basically it's like a Pepsi Max version of John Wick, in the sense that it's not weak enough to be considered a crappy Diet Coke version. Nobody is lesser in calories, but it has that extra taste to it, which makes it cool and exciting. And you're basically going to be a pussy magnet if you hold one in your hands. Go on, try it. Hold a physical copy of Nobody in your hands and just watch the pussy roll in by the waves. Pushing aside the movie's kind of weak story, let's explore this movie and focus on the fun elements. And I guess if you don't want spoilers for this, then shoo, go on, get away. But if not, let's do this. I knew from the second this movie opened that I was going to watch it till the very end, because I want to know why Bob Odenkirk has a kitten, and also why is he covered in blood. It's a weird but really intriguing opening, and I'm sure your interests are locked in too, because we want to know,
who the fuck are you?
Me?
We're shown how mundane his new life is in a quick montage, which repeats so much that it starts to frustrate you watching, which is perfect because you feel the exact same way he feels. This movie wastes no time jumping into the exciting stuff, as within the first 5 minutes we have the enticing moment where Hutch is tested to see if the old Hutch Mansell comes out to defend his home from being robbed. But he decides that it's not worth it because the robbers seem more scared than a threat, and they only steal a handful of loose change. But then, when he realises they also took his daughter's kitty cat bracelet, he decides they have crossed the line. Yeah, no, it's fine they gave your teenage son a black eye, but still my daughter's worthless plastic piece of crap bracelet, and man's gonna go ape mode. No! So he goes on the hunt to find the tattoo artist behind the robber's wrist tattoo. A small detail that only a professional hitman would know to mentally note when tracking them down later. And that little detail of him noticing the tattoo is a great way to foreshadow Hutch's secret identity. He eventually finds the Saul's tattoo studio because the artist has a photograph of it just sitting on his desk. And at first I found this funny because I thought tattoo artists would only display pictures of work they're actually proud of. And this is just some basic looking bird scribble. But when we skip back in the movie to look at the actual tattoo, the ink looks fresh. So I guess the picture's on his desk because he took it quite recently and hasn't yet stored it in a book somewhere out of sight. After getting his watch back from the robbers who said they didn't know anything about his daughter's bracelet, he hops on a bus back home when a group of drunken idiots come aboard looking to cause some trouble. Which is great because Hutch is all pumped up and looking for some action.
I'm gonna fuck you up.
What I kind of like about this scene is that Hutch is kind of rusty at fighting. After spending however many years out of action, he gets really hurt in this encounter. And just keeps on getting back up to fight, which is amazing to watch. And yeah, you can imagine how much more awesome this would be if I didn't have to blur half the bloody screen. But I've only just started making money on YouTube and I'm not rich enough yet to be careless about it. This movie's really good at throwing in little comedy details to add some levity to the messed up things happening on screen. For example, as Hutch is choking this dude out with the bell cord, it keeps illuminating the stop sign. And later on in the final shootout factory scene, he rubs out the incident days tracker before returning to the murder spree. So it turns out one of the guys on the bus who he put in hospital was the brother of notorious Russian gangster Yulian Kuznetsov. Yulian Kuznetsov demonstrates why he's not to be messed with by ripping this guy's face apart with a broken martini glass. I actually winced watching this. It's just brutal in a really uncomfortable way. Well, anyway, Yulian Kuznetsov sends out the cavalry to hunt Hutch down, sending double what he would do for a normal guy when he finds out that this is no normal guy. Hutch hurries the family down to the basement so he can deal with the invading bad guys. And I've got to say, I found this sequence to be the least satisfying part of the movie, with two things standing out as annoyances for me. The first annoyance, Hutch is hiding upstairs as two of the patrol head up to take him out. But I'm going to play this part with sound, and you tell me what the first issue is. So we're seeing an automatic rifle of some kind shoot around the room, which on its own I think sounds a bit too quiet. But then again, I'm no gun expert, I might be wrong on this. But I do have a pair of eyes, and looking around the room we can see debris falling off the ceiling. And we can see that there's bullet spray going everywhere. But for some reason we have an annoying lack of impact sounds. You would think with that amount of bullet spray going around the room, you would hear smashing vases or breaking walls. Some form of impact sound happening for some of the bullets. But this issue is kind of nitpicky in comparison to my next complaint. Hutch goes downstairs to see that the other guys are still wandering about looking for him. I'm sorry, are they deaf? How did they not hear all of that happening upstairs? If for some bizarre reason you didn't hear them fumbling about, you would have surely heard the gun going off. How could you possibly not know at this point where Hutch is? What are you doing wandering around here? Well, it turns out they aren't completely incompetent as they managed to tase Hutch unconscious. They're en route to bring Hutch back to Big Boss Man Yulian killing me softly. Alright, I should probably stop with the xenophobic name jabs now. Not really the best time to be pissing Russians off, is it? En route to Yulian, Hutch manages to break out of his cuffs and escape the car. He then goes back home to get his family out the basement and starts cleaning up the crime scene. Now I was sitting here wondering how the hell is he going to get all of this cleaned and repaired? That's a lot of bodies to dispose of and that's a lot of blood to clean. But then Hutch does the best logical thing possible, which is just to burn down the house, burning with it every single scrap of evidence. The quickest and most effective way to do this job. But like I mentioned earlier, this could have been a key moment moment for our protagonist to feel some sort of loss. This is after all his family home he's burning down. Maybe he could have taken one last look at a wedding photo that's covered in blood and knows he can't take it with him because it has to be burned with the rest of the evidence. Or maybe the intruders killed his cats and he has to burn the body, and maybe that could tie in with the end of the movie when he gets a replacement kitten. But the real reason he gets this kitten is kind of meaningless. It's just because his daughter wanted one.
We need a cat.
Yeah, it's whatever. So yeah, this part of the movie just needed something more emotional to happen. Bob Odenkirk is fully capable of delivering an emotional scene.
Damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it.
At one point I was expecting the movie might try to sacrifice his dad, but the movie made it obvious that he was going to turn out to be a hitman too. And I'm really glad they did this for him because he's goddamn Doc Brown. This man, Christopher Lloyd, is a treasure. The man's in his 80s and gets to play the part of a professional killer kicking major ass and being a total alpha chad while he does it. I know it looks silly, it's really far-fetched, but it just makes me happy to see. I would love to be this awesome at 80 years old. Also, RZA from the Wu-Tang is in this, and he's okay, I guess. I have massive respect for this man either way, because his musical talent is brilliant. But I'm going off topic, so let's get back to the story. So Hutch is pretty ticked off about the situation he's in, and goes to Julian's club and starts laying waste to everyone and everything. I got a bit overexcited when he starts to fill this water line with gasoline. I thought for sure he was going to explode the building this way, but instead he uses it to douse a big pile of cash with the sprinkler system. Yeah, talk about underwhelming. But the rest of this sequence is cool, especially when he reveals a claymore strapped to his hand, ready to go off if Julian makes any sudden movements.
What say you and I have a moment?
He gives Julian an ultimatum to think about, with one of the options being that they both forget about everything and call it a day. But as Hutch goes to leave, Julian decides that dying is the better choice, and pursues Hutch to a factory where the final shootout happens. In anticipation of this going down, Hutch rigged the factory with booby traps Home Alone style, and we get some pretty entertaining deaths from it. Again, because Hutch is too good at his job, everything goes according to plan, near enough. Hutch didn't lose anything before, and he hasn't lost anything here. His dad doesn't get shot, and neither does his Wu-Tang friend. It's just another opportunity missed to have some emotion in this movie. But then again, in place of this, we get a cool claymore death with Julian. Certainly don't go into this movie expecting to feel a range of emotions. You're going to feel happy for sure, and if you're content to have a stupid grin on your face most of the movie, then we're very much aligned with this, because despite some nitpicks, I had a great time with this movie, and I'll definitely be watching it again sometime. Here's where I thank my Patreon subscriber. Yes, isn't it cute? I have one Patreon subscriber. You can have your name here too, as well as the other bonus content I mentioned at the start if you become a top tier basement buddy. But of course for the lower tiers, you still get thanked at the end of the video.